So today we'll be seeing about the laws of UX. This is important when it comes to designing the wireframe. So you should know uh, why, what is each law, and why is it important in order to design a better product for the users to understand and then use the application. We need to understand the user and their needs. So how can we? So what are the laws in UX? An understanding of psychology behind how users behave and interact with digital interfaces, like there are digital interfaces, and why users behave in certain way, and how are they trying to interact with the product, what kind of interaction do they prefer to have. um, This is the single most valuable non-design skill a designer can still have, which means it's not a design skill, but still it is preferred to have as a designer. So we should know how the users would like to interact with the product, and how the users behavior will be if we design this product in certain way. And the most elegant design can fail if it forces users to conform to the design rather than working within the blueprint of how humans perceive and process the world around them. So if the design is so good that uh, it has a pretty screen, then again if it doesn't satisfy the user on how that work is going to be done by the user, if it doesn't meet the user needs, then still the app is going to fail, though the UI is pretty. So it should be easy for the users to understand the process, and how this app will work should be easy for them to know. So in this practical guide, we will be seeing how we can apply the key principles in psychology in order to build the products and experiences that are more intuitive, like how can we keep the users in center and then design the products for their needs. So here the so author deconstructs familiar apps and experiences to provide clear examples of how UX designers can build experiences that adapt to how users perceive and process digital interfaces. So here the author is trying to bring in the familiar apps to the table, so that that will act as a clear example uh, which will help us understand how other UX designers are trying to work on the experiences which the users will actually look for, and how we can process the digital interfaces. So in this book we'll be learning how we can aesthetically create a design that will bring in positive and optimistic responses, and the principles from psychology most useful for designers. So the field psychology is also relevant to design. How you can ask, that is by understanding the users, their emotions, the reasoning behind choosing one option over other, and that is actually the user's mental model, how are they thinking. So these involve psychology. So the designers who have studied psychology is can also bring in more impact when it comes to design. How these psychology principles relate to UX heuristics, like heuristics are going to be some rules that we need to follow in order to create the UX design. So when it comes to wireframe, you have to apply these principles as well. Like there are certain predictive models like Fitt's law, Jacob's law, and Hicks law. We'll be seeing them. Ethical implications of using psychology in design. So, what are the applications when it comes to applying psychology in design, and framework for applying these principles? So, there is some um method that we need to follow in order to apply these principles. So, the author here is a multidisciplinary designer, speaker, writer, and digital creator. So, he is based on Detroit. Uh, his passion lies at intersection of user experience design. So he has an experience of both user experience and front end web development. So as it intersects, as these walls, both the fields gets intersects, he often brings in the two disciplines in a hybrid approach to solve the problem, like bring in a digital solution using psychology to design better products and services. So let's dive into this. So here the first one is Jacob's law. Before that, we'll see the preface. So this is about him, like how is design relevant to him and what he has been doing. So in this book, we can expect all the laws. The first one is Jacob's law, where users spend most of their time on other sites and they prefer your site to work the same way as other sites they already know. That is kind of a familiarity concept, which they always spend more time on all the websites. So they also expect our website to perform in that way, like a competitor website should be similar to them, because they don't want to spend extra time in order to understand how this website works on the whole. So they want some kind of features to be same like what they have been seeing in the recent times. The second chapter, it's about Fitt's law. The time to acquire a target is a function of distance to and size of the target. So here, when we are trying to acquire a target, so it's going to be both the distance and the size of the target. Hicks law, so we'll also see each and every law in detail. So just let's get into that. So here, users spend most of the time on other websites and they prefer your site to work in the same way as all the other sites they already know. Here, what we can learn, users will transfer expectations they have built around one familiar product to another that appears similar. So they are using the similar kind of application and they have also expect it to work in the same way like what they have been experiencing in the past. So the expectations are as such. So if the user's expectation are as such, then even we need to design in that way. So I'm audible, right? By leveraging existing mental models, we can create superior user experiences in which the users can focus on their task rather than on learning new models. So once they get to understand that this app is going to be like this, they can focus on achieving their goal, like purchasing a product, rather than understanding about the new application, instead of getting training to use the application. When making changes, minimize discord by empowering users to continue using a familiar version for a limited time. So when we are trying to make changes in an application similar to what the competitor is doing, then what we need to do is we'll try to bring in a similar kind of version for a limited period of time, and then we can bring in just a little bit of more features. So just little by little we can improve the app, like bringing in MVP applications. There is something incredibly value to be found in familiarity. So what is the thing that is being valuable to be found in familiarity is that people, it will help the people to interact with the digital product and service. They know how to use it immediately, like they need not get some knowledge transfer from other person in order to interact with the app. And they can from interacting with the navigation to finding the content that they need to process the layout and visual cues of the app in order to understand the choices available to them. So starting from the layout till the processing of the visual cues, everything will be available to them. So this cumulative effect of mental effort will ensure that the cognitive load is less, like they need not process a lot of things. In other words, the less mental energy users have to spend learning interface, the more they dedicate to achieving their objectives. So the users meeting their goals are important, rather than they spending time to learn how the app actually works. The easier we make it for people to achieve their goals, the more likely they are to do successfully. Like they need to achieve their goals in order to use the app continuously. So the only that is going to be the motto of the entire app. As designers, it is our objective to ensure people successfully achieve their goals when using the interfaces we've built by eliminating as much friction as possible. So as designers, we are responsible for the people to make the app usable for them, rather than making them stop using the app because of having some kind of frustration or friction, in the sense they'll stop using the app. So we should not be responsible for that. So not all friction is going to be bad. Sometimes it's even necessary that people needs to stop using the app for a bit time, so that there can be an opportunity to remove some kind of friction, like we can improve the app during that time, and we can provide some value or service, a purpose. So, one of the primary ways designers can remove friction is by leveraging common design patterns and conventions, like by establishing the traditional approaches that we'll be using in terms of UX design. We can bring in the page structure, workflow, navigation, and the placement of certain buttons, like where what is going to be. Like if it's search, it's going to be only in the top in most cases, and only in rare cases that it will be in the bottom, right? So when we do this, we can ensure that people will be more productive instead of first having to learn how this app actually works, instead of getting the confusion of how we need to navigate between the entire website. So here in this chapter we'll be looking at some examples on how this design principle can be achieved. Like let's look at its origins. For Jacob's law of the internet user experience. So this was put in 2000 by usability expert named Jakob Nielsen. He has proposed this Jacob's law. In that, he has described the tendency for the users to develop an expectation of design conventions based on cumulative experience from other websites. So, what he's trying to describe over here is that he says that people will have a set of expectations based on the design conventions that we have already used, like based on the previous experiences using the certain applications. So by this they'll have certain kind of expectations that we need to convert to bring in user satisfaction. This observation, which Nielsen describes as laws of human nature. This encourages the designer to follow common design conventions, like the practices, best practices, which we need to follow in order to bring in more site content, a message, or product visibility. Uncommon conventions can lead to people become frustrating. So if there are no best practices and we are trying to build in some different kind of application, then the people will obviously become angry, and they may not understand. They can become confused, and they abandon their tasks and leave the application, like they'll not uh, achieve their goal in the application for which they have come to. So they can leave the interface because they don't understand how the things should actually work. This cumulative experience, which Nielsen refers to, is helpful for people when visiting a new website or using a product. So if it's going to be a new product or website, then it will be helpful for them to understand how each works. So this is directly relevant to the mental models concept. So mental model is what the user expects and what we are trying to give them. So here, mental model is a psychology concept which we'll discuss further. Yes, it is what we think we know about a system, especially about how it works. Whether it's a digital system such as a website or a physical system such as a checkout line in a retail store. So when it comes to physical store, it could be the checkout process, like billing section. In that, the people will be standing in queue, right? If it's a digital system, then there could be a checkout process as well, like there will be uh, the payment method after adding to a cart. What happens, that is the digital system. So we form a mental model of how this system works, and we are trying to apply what we have seen in the real world, like in the physical place, what is happening, that we are trying to bring in to the digital interface as well. So we are trying to apply that model to new situations where the system is familiar. In other words, we use the knowledge we already have from past experiences. So whatever we have experienced in the past, based on that data only, we are trying to bring in the digital interface as well. So we know what happens when someone interact with something new, what they will actually expect. Try to compare the real shop in-store experience with the e-commerce experience. So they, if it's an in-store experience, then we'll have the there will be sales people who will be supporting us in order to buy a dress. So what happens in the internet, there will not be any support, right? So that is why customer support is being introduced. Mental models are valuable for designers because we can match our designs to our users' mental models to improve their experience by enabling them to easily transfer their knowledge from one product or experience to another. So when it comes to mental models, it can be useful for designers, because we can match the designers, uh, like we can match the designs to our users mental models, so we know what the users will actually expect when it comes to our app. So we can easily try to bring in the transfer of knowledge from one product to another product. We can bring in same kind of experience. So we need not even spend more time in understanding how this new system is going to work. So good experience, like good UX means what? It means that the design of the product or service is in alignment with the user's mental model and what they are trying to expect in the app. The task of shrinking the gap between our own mental model and those of the users is one of the biggest challenges we face, and to achieve this goal we use a variety of methods. So we are trying to bring in the bridge the gap between the mental models, like our own mental models, and those of the users. Like the users will have certain kind of expectations in the app. So we are trying to bring in our assumptions and comparing these both. So building this gap is going to be the toughest part, where we'll have to bring in a lot of methods like user interview in order to validate the user's experience, what they have been experiencing, and user persona, like the target audience and their journey towards using the app end to end, and how they are feeling emotion, what kind of emotions are they experiencing throughout the process, and much more. So the point of these is that we are trying to gain a deeper insight into not only the goals but also the what the users are actually trying to expect, and the users pre-existing mental models, like what kind of expectations they've already set, that this kind of app is going to be something like this. So the pre-existing mental models and how all of these factors are going to apply in the product or the experience that we are going to design. So have you ever wondered why form controls look the way they do? Like this, the example here is the form control. So it's because human designing them at a mental model of what these elements should look like, which they, based on control panels, they were familiar with the physical world. So this is the physical form control, the controls the user can control uh, when it comes to bus supervision. The design of digital elements like the form toggle, checkbox, radio button, and switch. You know why that came like that? Because of the actual design. In that, we have this kind of radio button. So, that is what we have been using enabled state. If it's disabled, then it will be in gray shade. If it's in hover state, like if we are keeping the mouse over it, then what happens? If it's in focused state, then what happens? If the user is pressing on that, what happens? And then we have switch. So switch is something like you can enable and disable. If it's enabled, so we have different states for each of this component as well. Like checkbox, we can tick it. This is also somewhat similar to what we have been seeing in this control panel. Here our designs do not align with the user's mental model. There will be problems. A misalignment can affect not only how users perceive the products and services we have helped build, but also speed at which we understand them. So if what we are designing is not aligning with the user's mental model and what they are expecting, their needs, then there will be problems in our application. Like this misalignment can not only affect the users, but also the speed in which they are understanding the app will also be at a difficult phase. So this is called as mental model discordance, and this will be happening when a familiar product is suddenly changed, like they have been using one product for a longer time, and that experience was seamless, and suddenly they have changed all the placements of the important CTA buttons, and what happens, the user will also be unhappy, and it will be they'll be dissatisfied. One notorious example of mental model discordance is the 2018 redesign of Snapchat. So in 2018, the Snapchat has been redesigned, and that has completely changed. So instead of gradually introducing fewer changes, what they did was they launched a major overhaul, like the entire app was changed. Instead of bringing slow iteration, like instead of bringing slow variations in the app. So what happened there, they combined both watching the stories and communicating with friends in the same place. So users were unhappy, and they immediately took Twitter, and they expressed their disapproval, like they did not get kind of satisfaction in using the app. So even worse, the migration of users to Snapchat's competitor Instagram. So that's when users started using Instagram in 2018. So even the Snapchat CEO had hoped that the redesign would allow for ads to be customized by users, but instead it caused ad views and revenue to drop. So this got dramatically shrinking, like the revenue also got dropped, and even the redesign got failed. So this kind of mental model is a failure for Snapchat in terms of alignment with the redesigned version of the app. So this has resulted in discordance. But major redesigns don't always drive users away. So if it comes to other redesigns, they'll take it slowly, like feature by feature they'll be introducing, so that the user will not get shocked of having too many features in one place and the entire interface gets changed. So Google has history of allowing users to choose in the redesigned version of its products. Like if you say the Figma update, you can still use the old Figma, and then if you want, you can choose to opt for a Figma updated version. So we need to give permission to you for the user to use both if there are a lot of complex features involved that we have been updated. When the company launched the design, it allowed desktop users to ease into the new material design UI without having to commit. So material design is something created by the Google team itself. Like we need to follow the material design guidelines in order to use the spacing. Like there should be 4x 4px spacing, multiples of 4, and then we need to follow the titles according to that. So we should follow the material design guidelines. Users could preview the new design, gain some familiarity, submit feedback, and even revert to old version if they preferred it. So they are giving the option for the users to switch to old version or continue using the new version itself. So this is the comparison of the before and after comparison of YouTube redesign. This was done in 2017. So most e-commerce platforms are trying to leverage pre-existing mental models, like what are the actual expectations of the users, Based on that, they are trying to bring in the experience by making use of familiar patterns and conventions. So once we are using the familiar patterns which the users have been using so far, then shopping sites like Etsy can even effectively keep customers focused on the important stuff, like they can buy the products, they can sell the products, they can find and purchase the products. So by confirming to users expectations about the process of selecting products, adding them to virtual cart and checking out, designers can ensure users are able to apply their accumulated knowledge from previous e-commerce experiences. Like when it comes to Etsy, what happens? It's like the same what Amazon does or Flipkart does. So it's also confirming, like it's validating the user's expectations, like how their actual experience is going to be. They add the product to the cart. After they select, they can either unselect or remove and add new product, and what happens after that, they can check out. So how are they going ahead with this kind of process is because that is what the usual mental model of the users when it comes to using different kinds of e-commerce applications, so that this process will feel comfortable and familiar for them. So here at C, so they are trying to leverage the pre-existing mental model so that the users can focus on achieving their goal, like they can purchase the product rather than learning how a new interaction works. So the use of mental models to inform design is not isolated to digital space. So even in the physical space, it's going to be the same. Like in automotive industry, you can find that. In 2020 example, Mercedes Benz. So here the seat controls found in the door panel open. Like in each of the seat there are the seat controls. So this becomes easy for the users to understand which part of their seat can adjust by identifying corresponding button. So what it each means. So the above what we have discussed are the examples that can demonstrate like how we can use the users existing mental models and what they have been experiencing so far in order to enable them the things that they are actually looking forward. So failure to consider the mental model will result in confusion and frustration, as we have discussed. So we need to understand what the users will expect and what kind of behavior they have been experiencing in the past of using the same kind of applications. You can even frame the questions on this according to the user interview. The conclusion here also begs an important question. So what question is that, does Jacob's law argue that all websites or apps should behave identically? So you guys have to think upon these lines. Does it suggest that we should use only pre-existing UX patterns even when it comes to a more appropriate solution that's new? So far as we have discussed on the Jacob's law, what do you guys think about this? Like, are you also supporting Jacob's law when it comes to all the applications of the websites? What do you think? So I'll share this resource. You can go through the existing information for a user persona. We have already discussed that, so I'm skipping that. And next comes Fitt's law. Uh, the time to acquire a target is a function of distance to and size of the target. So, uh, how easy will it be for the user to uh, do the task that they are aiming for? Touch targets should be large enough for the users to accurately select them. So, if the user is trying to touch on a certain CTA, they want to submit a form after filling it. Like they want to book for something, like they are booking for a demo, okay, and they are filling the forms. After filling it, they are going to click the submit button. So the submit button has to be large enough so that the users will click and select on them on the phone. So since it's going to be thumb finger, it should be designed in that way. There should be ample of spacing between them, and there should it should not be very small that it is confusing for the user, and they are mistapping. Instead of submit, they click on cancel. Then what happens? The user will be frustrated. So the touch targets should be placed in the areas of an interface that allow them to be easily acquired. So like the placements also matter. So we need to consider the placement according to the user's uh, actual expectation, where they expect it to be and what size should be designed that for. Usability is a key aspect of good design. It implies ease of use, which means the interface should be easy for users to understand and navigate. So, for when it comes to a good design, then it should be usable by everyone. So, it should imply the ease of use. That means that the user should understand, and then they should navigate, like they should know where they are in the app, and the interaction should be easy for them without being painful or without involving a lot of effort by them. So the time it takes for users to move to and engage with an interactive object is a critical metric. Like the time it is taking for them to complete the task that they are aiming for in the app is a critical measure, like a metric that we need to uh, think upon. We need to ask the users how much time it took for you to complete purchasing this product in my app. It's important to it's important that designers size and position interactive objects appropriately. Like the CTA buttons or any button that we are designing should even any interactive objects that we are designing in the app should the size should be clickable, like it should be easily selectable, and it should also meet the user's expectations, and whether they are clicking on mouse or on the in finger, it should be easy for them to access. So by we can use the Fitt's law that states that time it takes for the user to engage with an object is relative to its size and distance in it. So in other words, what they are trying to say, the meaning of this is that as the size of the object increases, so if the object sizes increases, then the time to select it goes down. So if the CT button is too large for the user to select, then it will be very easy for them to click on it. So the time to select an object decreases as the distance that the user must move to select it decreases. So if the user has to fill a lengthy form, so it's so lengthy that they need to do 3-4 scrolls, then what happens? The distance to achieve that target will also be increased. So when the distance is increased, then the selection also gets increased. So the smaller and further away an object is, the more time it takes to accurately select it. So if the object is very small, and it will take a lot of time to achieve that. So, Fitt's law was traced back in 1954. So, there an American psychologist, Paul Fitts. So, he was the one who has proposed this Fitt's law, and the time required to rapidly move to a target area is the function of the ratio between distance to the target and width of the target. So this is today this is valued as the most successful and influential mathematical model of human motion. So here the diagram here depicts the Fitt's law, like the distance and the target. So here the touch targets. Fitt's law was established as a model for understanding human movement in physical world before the invention of the graphical user interface. Like before the digital interfaces got introduced, even in the physical world, he established this kind of model so that it will be applied to the movement through a digital interface as well. So he has considered three important factors in this Fitt's law. The first one is touch targets that should be large enough for the users to easily select, and the second one is touch targets should have ample space between them. Like each of the touch targets should have equalated space between them, and the third last touch target objective is that it should be placed in the areas where the users will easily click on it. As obvious as it might seem, touch target sizing is of utmost importance. Like, it's very important that the touch target should not be very small, and if it's large, it's going to be easy for the users to click on it. So here is the minimum touch target size. Like if it's Google, then 48 into 48 dp. If it's Apple design, according to these are the different guidelines which we can follow. It's 44 into 44, so usually we'll follow 44 into 44 pixel. Like every CDA should be designed in that way. I can also show. This is the material design which we've been discussing. So so even if you see this kind of recording, if you open the recording app, you can see the buttons in this sizes. So this is what they've been saying. The icon is going to be in a smaller size, and a bounding rectangle in that icon, that is going to be in 44 into 44 or 44 into 44 size, so that it will be easy for the user by using the thumb finger they can click on it, they can select on it. So they give different sizing in each website. We need to follow one. see here. So, as designers, we should aim to exceed these target touch sizes. So, whenever possible, to decrease the need for precision. So, for each and every icon that we are designing for, it should have this kind of sizing, so that it will be easy for the users to select. And we should also give the spacing easily. So, we'll look that in the UI class as well, how we need to design that. So, when the space between the elements is too small, then there could be error, like the target error. The user might click on something and then it gets selected, something else gets selected. So, uh, the average fingertip is 8 to 10 mm. So sometimes the user might click partially outside, so that it will not be selected. We should look so closely to it when it comes to designing. So this is the most accurate area where the user will select, and then the thumb, it will just lightly click in the opacity lower areas. We'll begin by looking at the common example of Fitt's law. So, this is going to be the form text labels. In this, the text label element with an input, the developer or the designer can tap and click on the label, so that they can give the input, and it expands the interfaces where they can use the, this is the touch area. So this is just going to be the input form. Okay, the user is going to give the username. For that, the label should be clear, and this is the clickable text label area where they can select and then type the username. So the touch area should be lengthy, so it will be easy for the user to click anywhere in this text target area, touch area. So continuing with forms, uh, this Fritz law can be found in the placement of form submission buttons. So even in this, we can find the close proximity, like this, there is space in between each of the form item, like the form input, so that there not be any chance that the user misclicks on something else instead of something. So this position not only ensures that two types of input are visually related. So visually related in the sense these are actually editable. If it's in the dark color, then it is editable, and if it's in the grayed out shade, then it is disabled state. We can't edit that. This information has already been given. It not only ensures that it is visually related, but also ensures that the distance the user must travel from last form input to submission button is minimal. So why we are doing it in this layout is because the user need not scroll lengthy. The user can just type the address 1, address 2, and in one fold itself they can click on submit. It will be easy for the user to reach the submit button. The spacing between interactive elements is also important consideration. So the spacing between each of the input field. Even in LinkedIn, if you can see, there will be accept and deny actions together, but it will be in the right side of the dialog box. The actions are so close together that the users must take a significant effort to focus on selecting the action they wish to perform without accidentally selecting the other. So they are giving even the color emphasis on that. They are having only two options, in that they are giving the spacing as well. so that the users might not misselect accept with the thumb. So this is what the LinkedIn invitation looks like. So they are providing ample space between each items in the bottom navigation bar as well. This is one app screenshot where they have given a lot of space between each of the items so that there might not be any accidental selection. So in the thumb, even if the thumb they are trying to select one target touch point, then they'll not misclick on each. So it will be hard to reach areas on the interface. So what they've done is they've introduced a feature to mitigate the like one-handed use. They can use both the hands to reach the icons quickly. Why is the iPhone feature like this? Because it's only half screen. Why? Because the user can quickly reach this area by using the thumb. Right, hand or left hand, they can easily reach this place rather than selecting in the top. The key responsibility we have as designers is to ensure that the interfaces we create augment human capabilities and experiences. So we need to design according to the human capabilities and what they can do. Will they be able to achieve this task? And we need to keep in mind that uh, the touch point, like the touch target is this, and it should not misinterpreted by the user. It should be differentiated in size, color, giving the emphasis of what action the user has to do, and it should not distract from using the other option as well. So the mobile interfaces are susceptible to Fitt's law due to limited screen real estate available. So we can ensure interactive elements are easily selectable. So if we are designing some kind of interactive elements, then it should be we should consider the users. Mm, like we should consider the users way whether they are able to select that interaction easily. Are they having enough space uh, to select that? And we should try to avoid the accidental selection. This we can do by even user testing. By that we can understand how the user is engaging with the app. Right, we can continue with the other laws tomorrow. So what we've covered is the Jacob's law and Fitt's law. So in Jacob's law, we've seen that uh, according to the familiarity concept, we need to design the app based on the user's expectations, what they have in the previous uh, experience, like similar apps which they've used previously. According to that, we need to design. And in Fitt's law, we've been discussing about the target points and the time taking to travel to reach the uh, target, like the CTA, how much efforts are they taking to achieve that. So that we've been discussing in Fitt's law. So we'll discuss the rest in the next class. And So I thought this topic is also important for you to understand before we dive into the wireframing concept, like working on the rough sketches. So what is the progress of you guys? What have you been up to in terms of case study? What are you working on? Hello. Hello. Are you people done with the information architecture? Yes or no? Okay, good. So in the next class, Jonathan, can you walk through the case study that you have worked on till now? It's not necessary that it should be formatted like a complete case study. Just the working process. If you have done in different pages in Figma, it's okay. Just walk through each of the each of the phases. Okay. We'll soon complete the UX heuristics, like the laws that we've been discussing, and then we'll proceed with the wireframing. So that it will be a thorough UX case study. It's going to be thorough UX case study. The next case study we'll be working from, meaning like next month, maybe we'll start with the UI focused case study, wherein we'll discover the visual principles, the style guides, typography, everything. Okay. So once we have both the case studies in hand, we can easily approach for any roles. I've taken an old design I did for my project, so I'm thinking of recreating it with the UX research. Okay, okay, Pritika, you can take your time. You can work on that. Yes. Then see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.